Okay, notice of a regular meeting of the City of Friendswood Planning and Zoning Commission to be held Thursday, April 18th, 2019, beginning at 7 p.m. in the council chambers at City Hall located at 910 South Friendswood Drive, Friendswood, Texas. The meeting is called to order. We will now receive any communication from the public or committee liaisons to the commission to comply with provisions of the Open Meetings Act. The commission may not deliberate on subjects discussed under this agenda item. However, the commission may direct such subjects to be placed on a later regular commission agenda for discussion and/or possible action. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak at this time?
Now that we have someone from the public, right?
Jeff stands it.
Next is the consent agenda. These items are considered routine or ministerial in nature and would be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of items unless a commissioner or citizen so requests, in which case the item would be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the Planning and Zoning Commission April 1st, 2019 meeting?
Motion to approve?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? Obviously none. It's unanimous. Next on our agenda are the action items. According to the Planning and Zoning Rules of Procedure R2010-09, all action of the commission shall be made by an affirmative vote of 4 or more members of the commission present at such commission meetings. On tonight's agenda, we have consideration and possible action regarding a one-time, one-year extension for the final plat of Friendswood Trails, Section 1, 2, and Commercial Reserve. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
That looked pretty clear.
Yeah, when I read the letter, I didn't see the 1-year extension request. Is that standard?
Yeah, it's in the subdivision ordinance that
Okay.
it's just one
So
time,
when they
1
file
year.
for it, it goes for it.
Yeah.
And then obviously we have things in place. If things change between now and when they come back, obviously they would have to comply.
Yes.
There's nothing that they're grandfathered into?
Right.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay, I have nothing. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Shows unanimous. The next item is consideration and possible action regarding the site plan for Site 1 landscape to be located at 4448 FM 2351. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Marcus, starting with you. That's a great point. Thank you. Oh, it got me out of order, so thank you. Keeping me on track. Aubrey?
So this is a landscape company that's going to go in out on 2051. Remember the industry park plat that y'all saw recently that we approved? It is part of that like industrial park. It's going to be there's a road off of 2351 and then a private little cul-de-sac road that all their lots are going to be accessed off of, and this is one of those developments.
Is there any applicant here tonight that would like to speak?
We do have a representative of the owner here, if you have any questions.
Any words you'd like to pass along? Anything you'd like us to consider?
No, the owner, this is actually a lease, so the people building the building are Northwind's Construction. They're going to be owning and leasing the building to Site 1 Construction, or Site 1 Landscape. And, I mean, they're excited to get the building started and just bring the new business into the city. So, if y'all have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Great. Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Did you say your name? I apologize.
Sorry, I didn't. I'm Stephanie Cannon. I'm with Coastal Bend Engineering. With the
Thank you very much. Marcus, any?
Just one, and that's just to clarify sidewalks. So the expectation here that there would be sidewalks around the cul-de-sac?
Not
I would say
on,
No, because it's not a.
it's not a public street.
Oh, okay, because, all right, all right,
It's non-residential.
Right.
Yeah.
okay, thanks.
No problem.
It's an access easement that they're using to access the property, so
Right,
we do not require sidewalks.
okay. Thanks.
No questions?
Tell me a little bit about your business. It's not a nursery. It's a landscaping business.
Right, so they'll be selling irrigation pipe, especially for golf courses and other areas.
You have a customer nearby, right?
Yeah, right, there's a customer right next door, so.
Okay, so it's supplies for landscaping. It's not, you don't have people or that are going out to do landscaping necessarily.
I believe they do that as well. So
I see.
they have several locations all over Houston and across the country. I think they're based actually in Georgia.
So you provide labor and materials to do landscaping, commercial and residential?
Correct.
Thank you. Nice. Sounds like a nice business we could use in Friendswood.
Anything else?
No.
I was going to ask, hang around just for 1 second. I was going to ask Aubrey one question. Fenestration requirements, I understand this is outside of our downtown district, but are there any fenestrations, and looking at the building, there were not that many, couple sides with not many windows. That was looked at and no issues?
No, the property's zoned industrial, so they can do the metal building. It's more than 300 feet from 2351, so they don't have to do any of the community overlay district requirements or anything like that, so.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I had one other, actually, two quick questions. One is, I saw a note on the drawing that there's a chain link fence around on the property and with a barbed wire on top of that. It just seemed unusual for a landscape business, but I will assume that since they have many locations, they know what they're doing. It wasn't clear for me, at least, in looking at the drawing, how extensive was that fencing and barbed wire? Does it cover the whole site or just part
So
of
I
it?
believe there's not barbed wire in the front, it's black coated, and then in the back, there's barbed wire
Okay,
from the owner. I believe that's what he
okay.
told me.
That wasn't clear on the drawing, but okay.
But we can also clarify that. I'll clarify that with the owner to make sure that's what's going to be installed.
Okay. You've answered my question and with the intent that you're going to have coated fencing in the front and not having barbed wire. Again, it wasn't clear for me, and I'm sure I just missed the note. So, when is the building expected to be completed? When are they?
For the end of the year is their timeline. They're hoping to start their slab as soon as May, if we can, get everything on the site ready for them. So.
Great, great. And I saw as I drove out there, they're working on the road heading out there right now. Okay. Any other questions?
Sorry. No. So there was an objection by you guys about the trees. Are they going to go to 3-inch trees? I take it that just happens? I mean, we assume that's already done, even though it's not reflected on the drawings?
We'll make sure that change is made before we sign off on the
Okay,
plans.
so we're voting on it as if that's already happened?
Yeah.
And the owner saw that note, and he has no problem
Good.
making them sure they're 3-inch. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming.
And I hope you all have a wonderful Easter.
Okay, next item is consideration and possible action regarding amendments to the 82010-09 Planning and Zoning Rules of Procedure to change the commission meeting days from the first and third Thursdays to the second and fourth Thursdays. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion?
I'll motion.
And I'll second.
Okay. Aubrey, is there any additional information?
No, this is just a simple change on our rules, just to change our meeting days, so. And this will, our recommendation tonight, I'll forward to council. This will be on for council's agenda for May 6th, as well as the second reading for the change in the public hearing process. So June 1st, we can start with our new process.
Does it require two readings, or is it just one city council?
It's a resolution, so just one reading.
Okay. So assuming it passes, we would wait till June before we could do it because we already had our other meeting scheduled?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we had to send out notices already for that May 6th meeting.
Marcus, any questions?
None.
Rich, sorry.
I already had mine.
Okay, I had none. This is a topic that we've discussed many times. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Shows to be unanimous.
Needs to be.
Okay, the next item is a discussion regarding the addition of NAICS use number 6239, other residential care facilities, to the Appendix C zoning ordinance section 7.P.6 permitted use table. Aubrey? Do you have a
Yes, sir.
Staff summary?
Yes, so I had sent out the backup material for this today, and I apologize for getting it to you so late. But this is kind of a complex topic. So the 6239 use is missing from the permitted use table. We do have a request for a 24-hour residential care operation in a neighborhood that would fall into this category as far as our zoning goes. I was able to get a hold of a representative of the state to get with Region 6, who covers Galveston County, and ask her some questions about the 24-hour residential operation. And basically, I asked her, I'm like, are these types of operations typically in a neighborhood, or are they in a facility, in a commercial type building, and, more institutional? And she said, really, they can be either. She said there's, it goes both ways. So she also said that they could be short-term. This particular application is CPS kids who either need short-term placement, or they could be a long-term placement with the family. It's a they could care for a minimum of 7 kids, and then the maximum number just depends on the floor plan of the house. They require 40 square feet per child, and it's a maximum of 4 kids per room. So the state does have licensing requirements. They actually have like a pre-application class that you have to go to in Austin to even start this process. They do encourage applicants to check with their cities for zoning and things like that. So my recommendation at this point is to copy what we already do for personal care facilities. Those facilities, if you have 4 or more persons in them, are licensed by the state as well. And so they're allowed in a home, but our purpose is to make sure that it remains a home, that they don't put signage out in front of the house, that there's no parking added in front of the house, that it remains a home. So that's the purpose of that S1 process. So in the backup material that I provided today, I just tweaked the wording in that S1. There's like 5 or 6 steps right after the permitted use table that define that application process. And so I just tweaked it to not just be for personal care facilities, but to be for other residential facilities that are licensed by the state. So in discussing that, Mary Kay and I were discussing it. A couple of other topics came up. One of them being the protected class, the protected list that she read off at the last meeting. The verbiage for that, they call it community homes in the state law. And so we would like to revisit our ordinance and make our wording more consistent with state law so that it's more clear. Every time one of these comes up, I have to go read all the definitions and figure out where it fits. So it would be better if we could make that wording fit. And then also, Fire Marshal has requested previously that, so for personal care facilities or community homes that are protected federally, if you have 3 or less people, the state doesn't require a license or anything, but the fire marshal would like them to at least register with the city with some kind of process so that they're aware that they're there And if we have a permit on file, basically they could do annual inspections and just keep an eye on those facilities. Fire marshal already inspects foster homes. The state requires them to have annual inspections. And they inspect in-home daycares and things like that. So that has been a request that's been on the books from them for quite some time. So I think all these things kind of fit in with each other, and we can take this little group of changes and get it all worked out and then take it to council. So I'm asking for more time.
No, it's complicated.
But we're getting there.
No, thank you very much. So I'll just start, Marcus.
Okay, yeah, so you mentioned a couple of things that aren't in your red line versions yet. So this was just a discussion to bring our awareness. We can start to study on this, and at some point, it'll come forward.
Yes.
But it doesn't slow down or limit anyone who's trying to do things like this today.
Not at this, I'm not sure what her time frame is, but we'll work with her.
Do we need to set a schedule for this?
I'll keep working on it and bring it back. Maybe not to the next meeting, but the second meeting in May. We should be able to have it.
Okay.
But she's not meeting with you, and we haven't agreed to any timeline?
No,
Okay.
no.
Can one of these guys help you? No, I'm kidding.
And
Yeah.
she could,
Are there things that we can go off and do to help?
she could move forward with her licensing with the state, submit her applications with the state, with the understanding that, most likely we're going to move forward with this process, with just the site plan process. So I can explain that, what she's going to have to do once we get that adopted.
Knowing that it's coming.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. I don't think she's on a tight time frame.
okay. Thanks.
Rich?
So just to summarize, this is an application that really doesn't have a category in our existing codes, and we're cleaning up the codes to make it covered. And this will cover future things like this that happen, in the future.
Yes.
Okay, no, this sounds good. I appreciate you doing all the research on this. Have you found anything associated with our neighbors in this area, how they treat this? Were you able to talk to League City or Pearland or any of the adjoining properties?
I did look at, I was looking through their ordinances, and I have, so Pearland for rooming and boarding houses, they require a conditional use permit in general business and general commercial. It didn't look like they allowed it in residential. League City was no, and then Missouri City residential SUP daycare centers. So it's kind of
So
interpreting
two of our neighbors don't even allow it in single-family residential, and one requires an SUP?
yeah. It's I guess classifying it.
But they can't not allow it, right? This is protected as well.
So these are just. These don't necessarily have to be Alzheimer's or. These
Okay.
can just be
These are not protected.
right. Yes.
So the application that's coming ahead, that this is all kind of to cover, is a non-protected one.
Yes.
So we have the right, and we may or may not want to do that, obviously, but it's not required.
Right.
And so, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, and that's a good, like I said, it's hard to go through everybody's permitted use tables and
Sure.
find where this fits. Like Mary Kay said, they may not have dealt with this, or
Right.
or they may classify it under something different.
Okay, so it's not completely clear.
The lady from the state that I talked to did say that there are facilities in Alvin, which they don't have zoning, Manville, Houston doesn't have zoning, and then she did say there were some in Pearland and Liverpool, were the surrounding cities that she was aware that had some of these
So
facilities.
Pearland has some, but they're not permitted in single-family residential. Did I hear you correct?
Well, I need to.
Still researching.
Yeah.
Still research. I'm trying to nail you. I know
No,
there's
it's
been a lot of data on this, and you've been working very hard on this, and I appreciate that.
Well, and I can go on now that I know that there are some in Pearland. There's a database
Yeah.
with the state that I can go search and
And
try
and
to
they may
find.
just be in commercial areas, and so we don't know
Yeah.
yet, so
The
that's fair.
two that came up in League City that are, so they're general residential operations is the category, and there's two in League City. One of them is a placing agency, which doesn't care for the children, they just place them. And the other one was the Devereux.
The children don't reside there.
Right.
They're just handling the
just an
administration. Yeah, it
agency.
doesn't really count.
And then the other one was the Devereux, which is right off of 518, like when you get like close to Calder Road, I think, on the left. And it's a big,
It's a commercial area.
yeah.
Okay, so that probably is not similar to what we're trying to do here
Right.
either.
So I'll do some more research and
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
plugging away.
I only had one additional question. When you talked about the registration at the request of the fire marshal, is that a P and Z issue, or is that just combined with this? But I'm just curious, is that really, the fire marshal's request for registration, does that fall under P and Z?
Yeah, we would put it in the zoning ordinance for them to require their registration.
Yes.
We could,
We'd make it part of the S1 criteria, I guess, I mean.
yeah, I was actually thinking of maybe adding another, number to that and just adding the requirement for them to apply. We have a tenant occupancy process that we use. It's a $75 application fee. Anytime a business changes names, ownership, or occupancy, and like they're not changing the inside of the building physically, they apply for that. We also require in-home daycares to apply with the tenant occupancy. We check their zoning, the fire marshal checks it, and then, we can do the appropriate inspections. So,
Yeah, I was just questioning whether that's something that should come before P and Z or just go to council. That's what I was really, not that it, wasn't a good requirement. Okay. But you're saying there's a tie?
yes,
planning
yeah,
stage.
because the state doesn't require, we have the definition of personal care facility is in the zoning ordinance already. It's in the definitions in the back. And that was another thing we talked about, was moving that definition to just make everything more clear. And using the community home reference that's used in state law. And so,
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, because the NAICS code is so broad. I mean, there's child group, foster home. There's the list you provided us, a long list of things. And so it sounds like in our ordinance, we're going to kind of start defining that a little bit better, and to be consistent, one, with state law, and consistent with some of our other language in there for personal care homes.
yes.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, that was all the questions I had. Anything? No, anything else from anybody? Okay, thank you. More to come.
Yes.
Next is consideration and possible action regarding future planning and zoning commission meeting dates. Aubrey?
So our next regular scheduled meeting would be Thursday, May 2nd. We do have a joint public hearing with City Council, actually 5 of them, for the downtown amendments that we put forward. So if we want to consider moving that May 2nd meeting to the 6th, we can do that. And then the second meeting in May is the 16th.
Okay. So what we need to do is make a motion to delete the May 2nd meeting, combine it with the May 6th meeting. Is there, so moved. Do we have a second? Second. We have any discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Shows to be unanimous. Next on our agenda is communications. Do any commissioners have anything that they wish to communicate, suggestions for future agenda items, or general comments, or any updates from liaison assignments? Marcus?
No, but just a question here. So I've been delinquent on attending my liaison things because of conflicts that I've had with work. Every week I think I'm going to get there. if that's going to continue, do I have a backup that I can talk to about attending? Or do I just need to communicate that back to you? Or how do
Yeah,
you want that done?
Yeah, start with me. When it looks like there's just not gonna, it's not gonna be possible.
Yeah.
Then we'll take a look at those assignments and see if there's something we can do different.
Yeah, I do look at the agendas, and if it would be something that would jump out and something we certainly want to pay attention to, I would have spoken up already, but it seems
No,
to be
good point. No,
normal business. Okay,
no, that's fair.
so I'll do that. Thanks.
Okay. And, sorry. So, at this point, ordinance, well, no. Brett leads the ordinance, or, no, that's you, sorry.
I think that's me, yeah. And we haven't had any meetings, and we are going to have some in the future, but we don't have anything scheduled this time. I'm looking at Becky, and she's shaking her head. Yes.
And Brett leads the planning, and the downtown district subcommittee is on hold at this point. Ms. Branson.
Well, I never miss an opportunity to talk, no. For Lisa, because she's your liaison to KFB, as am I from council, y'all may be aware that KFB was awarded the Gold Star again, so we're very excited about Keep Friendswood Beautiful. That's a big deal. And I thought about our scenic city. I hope that we're moving along on that, and council's taking the right actions to help us acquire that one as well. But just want to let y'all know, KFB did get their Gold Star recognition again this year, so it's pretty cool. So, yay.
Great, thank you, thank you. Then, any staff comments?
The March 2019 DRC report was in your backup material. I think we only had DRC meeting, and it's pretty scarce lately. But that's all I have.
With that, we are adjourned.